DLA's 49th Annual Employee Recognition Ceremony. My name is Kathy Rem, your MC today. At this time, I'd ask everyone to turn off all electronic devices. We extend a special welcome to Lieutenant General Andrew Bush, United States Air Force Director of DLA, Mr. Ted Case, Vice Director of DLA, Dr. Renee Roman, Headquarters DLA Chief of Staff, Army Command Sergeant Major Charles Tobin, DLA Senior Enlisted Advisor, our award winners, their family members and friends, DLA senior leaders, special guests, and employees of DLA. Our program today will include a presentation of the colors from the Joint Service Color Guard at the Military District of Washington, singing of the National Anthem by Master Sergeant Kevin Benier, United States Marine Corps, invocation by Chaplain Colonel Carlton Birch, U.S. Army, opening remarks by the Director of DLA, and formal recognition of many DLA civilian and military award recipients. Now please rise and remain standing for the arrival of the official party, presentation of the colors, singing of the national anthem, and the invocation. Present the colors.
Go forward, march. Cars, halt! Come, present, home! Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Coat, right shoulder, hump. Coat's turn, look.
Good afternoon. For those willing, would you join me in prayer? Dear God, in this season of hope and blessings, we take time to acknowledge you as the source of all blessings. But we realize that often your blessings come in the form of people who go above and beyond to make our lives easier, more productive, more resilient, and more sure. We thank you for those employees we recognize today for being a blessing to DLA. May their hard work, dedication, and ingenuity continue to enrich our lives, not only in this holiday season, but in the months to come. Amen.
Please be seated. Our host for today's ceremony, Lieutenant General Andrew Bush, directs the Department of Defense's premier logistics combat support agency. The Defense Logistics Agency is responsible for providing a variety of logistics, acquisition, and technical services in peace and in war in support of the military services and other federal agencies. DLA's worldwide mission is performed by nearly 26,000 military and civilian logistics professionals. Now please welcome Lieutenant General Bush.
Well, thank you. Thank you and good afternoon. I'm doing Kermit the Frog today. I got back from Europe and Lieutenant Parmenter scheduled a cold as part of that, but I'm in the recovery, so I'm okay for those of you shaking my hands today. Anyways, I want to, on behalf of the Vice Director, Ted Case, and the Sergeant Major Tobin, I want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to thank our teammates here at DLA headquarters for coming in. I'd like to thank the field commanders and our key staff leaders for being here, and I appreciate that you took the time to come down. Special thanks to Brad Bunn and his team in J1, to Larry for his work all year and putting this together, to Kathy for once again emceeing this. Thank you very much. The color guard and our vocalist, fantastic. Anyways, you guys, as always, Brad, you put together a great program. This year, we're doing, as part of the employee recognition, we talked about making some improvements, and one of those that we offered was a Pentagon tour yesterday. Many of the more seasoned members of the staff would say, why would you ever want to take someone to the Pentagon? But in fact, for those people that don't work there regularly, it's very interesting to see. I'm told it was well subscribed. I'm glad you could attend. I'm particularly disappointed, though, that you didn't get the full experience, because I'm told that traffic was light and you did not get stopped on 395. So if you don't get stopped on 395, you haven't been to the Pentagon. Well, I'll tell you, we're going to recognize some great folks today, and I look forward to doing it. The ceremony might get a little bit long. I know there are some children in here. I can assure you I have talked over everything to include children, and I do not care what they do, and I don't care where they are at. So let it rip. Now, during this past year, I've been privileged to represent DLA in a number of areas. And I'll tell you that if I talk about our customers very briefly, the combatant commanders, the services, and our whole of government partners, I can tell you that this is a very easy product to sell. You are doing fantastic. And it's great to be able to recognize the folks that are here with us today that have done so much to help me be a representative for the great product that we have. I'll take just a second and say something about the combatant commanders. The world is a changing place, and I know you read the news, and I know perhaps that you don't extrapolate from the news to what we do in this agency, but I can tell you that the combatant commanders turn to us for solutions every day. There are interesting things that we are doing that are vitally important to our national interests that we are responsible for in DLA. I just came back from European Command. I also did a little bit of work with AFRICOM, African Command, and I can tell you that that is absolutely true in so many ways and at so many levels as well. So this is very important work. The chairman, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, talks to us a little bit about what we should be thinking of in the future. And I bring this up because it's the level of innovation that we need to spark internal to DLA. And the chairman talks about the fact that the threats of the future will be addressed with joint task force of many people put together, many organizations put together for the mission, and also that they will be trans-regional. It won't just be European Command. It won't just be Northern Command. The problems we face will merge all of those together, and that will change. That will require a change in how we provide our support. So the second of the customers that we work with are the services. And so the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, principally. And I'll tell you that they are very tough customers. There are two things that they keep hounding us for. They want innovation in the way that our business practices support their needs, mostly in the industrial side at the depots and the shipyards. And they are absolutely relentless in their pressure on us to reduce costs. And I'll tell you that over the last year, we have met those expectations repeatedly in all of the services. Tomorrow, I'm going to see all of the Service 4s, my counterparts, at a meeting, and I guarantee you that we will talk and return to some of these issues that I just mentioned here today. And then the last group of customers we have are our whole of government customers. And I'll just highlight one of them, and that's the Federal Emergency Management Agency. And most recently with Hurricane Matthew, DLA provided critical support to Hurricane Matthew relief. And there is nothing more rewarding than to go to the daily update with Administrator Fugate and for him to walk in the room and to start the conversation with, I've just returned from the White House and this is what the President told me to do. DLA is part of that, a big part of that for the things that we provide. And so all of you, and specifically those that we're going to recognize today, are part of that very great product that I get to get the privilege of being able to represent on a regular basis. So the last thing I wanted to point out is that whereas our customers are our first goal in our strategic plan, people and culture are the second goal in our strategic plan. And that's where all of what I just said gets to merge with what all I'm going to say next about our people and culture. This is the chance for us to merge all of that together and provide recognition at a personal level for some employees and some teams that have done absolutely superior work. Building on the work of all of those around them, we have highlighted them for their exceptional work today. And in closing, I just want to say one thing. I want to say thank you to the supervisors and the leadership that have put these packages together, that have helped these employees rise to this level of recognition. I know that it's work, it's hard work to do that, and it's hard to pull out of your daily routine to put a package together. But I very much thank you for doing that, and I look forward to meeting you as you come up on this stage. Thank you very much.
Okay, sir, if you and Sergeant Major could
After I have a drink.
take center stage.
Yeah.
We're gathered this afternoon to recognize DLA team members who exemplify the standard for excellence set by this agency. These employees and military members have demonstrated leadership, hard work, and a sense of commitment in support of DLA's mission and our nation's warfighters. As dedicated professionals, they strive continuously to improve their performance with a focus and strong commitment to the DLA mission. We're proud of their accomplishments, and today we take time to publicly thank them and to express our appreciation for their outstanding achievements. The 10 Outstanding DLA Personnel of the Year Award recognizes deserving civilian and military personnel who have consistently exceeded the expectations of their positions. Individuals nominated from this award have also been acknowledged by their peers as model performers. From a pool of 34 individual nominations, we're pleased to honor DLA's 10 Outstanding Personnel of the Year. Ms. Deena Edwards, DLA Distribution. Ms. Edwards is a fundamental component to the kitting and disassembly section as a supply clerk and office manager. She handled, researched, and confirmed equipment met technical prerequisites and functional operations. She coordinated miscoding, corrections, and spot-on audit reports. She taught proper recording on work orders, maintained pertinent procedures, updated policy directives, ensured information was available to personnel, and helped leaders reinforce strict guidelines. Ms. Deena Edwards. Mr. Kevin Henderson, DLA Distribution. Mr. Henderson's sustained superior performance is indicative of his productivity and versatility as a materials handler for Mission Support Materials Shop Store Warehouse. He meticulously tracked and managed over 9,600 propane requisition transactions, resulting in a 99.5 inventory accuracy rate. He's a brilliant mentor and subject matter expert, training 6 newly hired distribution process workers on shop store operational procedures. Mr. Kevin Henderson. Ms. Sandra Stevens, DLA Distribution. Ms. Ms. Stevens' technical expertise makes her an invaluable and critical part of the inventory action team. She contributed to the inventory action team tracking and correcting inventory shortages and overages worth over $25 million. She was instrumental in the successful first ever wall-to-wall inventory, which included 1.6 million weapons and sensitive items. She coached, mentored, and trained 26 reserve augmentees to perform quality assurance functions. Ms. Sandra Stevens. Ms. Olivia Wells, DLA Land and Maritime. Land and Maritime Deputy Commander Jim McClarty will accept this award on her behalf. Ms. Wells is a vital member of the Maritime Post-Award team, serving as a post-award purchasing specialist, a protest monitor, and a post-award request coordinator. Her daily actions reflect a reliance upon quality improvement and teamwork, and her unique dedication to the post-award team defines the ultimate in supplier-customer relations under the most demanding acquisition, customer service, and mission response times. Ms. Olivia Wells. Mr. Jim Acosta Jr., DLA Distribution. Mr. Acosta revamped shop, store, and direct material inventory warehouse operations, which substantially improved warfighter support and shipyard material readiness. He ensured on-time material delivery to the warfighter, going above goal on refusal rate and exceeding location accuracy goals with zero impact to customer orders. He increased storage efficiency and capacity by 25%, which surged delivery posture and reduced backlog by 50% with zero safety incidents. Mr. Jose Acosta, Jr. Ms. Aisu Sesmabasi, DLA Troop Support. Ms. Sesmabasi is a tailored vendor logistics specialist for the customer operations team that supports Djibouti, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, and Oman. She analyzes and develops the best value Class 1 transportation solutions for complex operational requirements to austere environments in coordination with several strategic DoD agencies. Ms. Aisu Sesmabasi.
You get your picture back there? You did?
Mr. Ivan Badillo Vasquez, DLA Land and Maritime. Mr. Badillo Vasquez is an experienced, trusted, and skilled contract specialist, as evidenced by his positive and productive engagement with customers, always providing the highest levels of support. He conducts in-depth research and analysis to resolve acquisition issues that are potentially degrading weapons system readiness. He embraces continual learning to better himself while encouraging the growth and development of others. Mr. Ivan Badillo Vasquez. Ms. Susan Lupo, DLA Land and Maritime. Ms. Lupo epitomizes DLA Land and Maritime's commitment to warfighters as evidenced in her leadership, collaborative process improvements, innovative acquisition strategies, program enhancements, and measurable overall impact on the critical aircraft launch and recovery equipment program. Her attention to detail and sense of urgency contributed to team efforts reducing the processing time for ALRE, critical safety, and critical application item large procurements by 33% and negotiating savings of over $1 million. Ms. Susan Lupo. Ms. Marcia Kaikis, DLA Installation Support. Ms. Kaikis is responsible for overseeing the environmental compliance posture of DLA Energy's fuel facilities. She provides technical and funding support and is responsible for the execution of the program in accordance with laws, policies, and regulations. Her performance serves as a positive motivator and inspires others to improve their quality of work and processes, enhance customer service, and expand their operational impact. Ms. Marcia Kaikos. Army Major Matthew Militich, DLA Logistics Operations. Major Militich distinguished himself through outstanding achievement as Joint Contingency Acquisition Support Office Mission Support Team Contingency Support Officer from June 1st, 2015 through May 31st, 2016. His superb leadership, initiative, and expertise were instrumental in meeting warfighter requirements for planning, training, exercises, and real-world operations throughout U.S. NORTHCOM, U.S. SOUTHCOM, U.S. PACOM, U.S. Forces Korea, and U.S. Forces Japan. Major Matthew Militich, United States Army. And that concludes the presentation of DLA's Outstanding Personnel of the Year Awards. We now turn to the DLA Leader of the Year Awards. These awards recognize DLA leaders from every segment of the workforce whose outstanding accomplishments and commitment to leadership merit special recognition. Leader of the Year Awards recognize outstanding performance in DLA leader competencies. 4 DLA Leader of the Year Awards are being presented today. Mr. Brad Bunn, Director of DLA Human Resources, will also participate in the presentation of these awards. The Level 1 Non-Supervisory Employees Leader of the Year Award recipient is Mr. Gregory Coleman, DLA Energy. Mr. Coleman's reliable work ethic and over 30 years of petroleum experience prove invaluable to the safe and smooth operations of DLA Energy Okinawa Defense Fuel Supply Point. He provides the commander and deputy commander with technical and operational advice on all petroleum systems and equipment in the safe and effective distribution of over 90 million gallons of fuel per year. He provides operational guidance to 121 U.S. civilian and Japanese local national employees in the daily safe operations of a vast fuels complex consisting of 6 fuel tank farms, 2 offshore discharge facilities, 2 deep-sea piers, and 78 miles of pipeline. Mr. Gregory Coleman. The Level 2 Team Leaders and Project Leaders Leader of the Year Award recipient is Mr. Daniel Ray, DLA Energy. Mr. Ray's extensive knowledge of the fuel systems and the ability to work well with local national personnel was key to his success. Since the majority of DLA Energy Okinawa's workforce only speak and read Japanese, he helped advocate for a Japanese translation application approval from DLA's Chief of Staff. This user-friendly language feature not only alleviated the language barrier, but it reduced confusion among local national employees by making work order printouts available in their native language, thus expanding the maintenance process. Mr. Daniel Ray. The Level 3 New Civilian Supervisors Leader of the Year recipient is Mr. Koshal Desai, DLA Troop Support. Mr. Desai has demonstrated exceptional performance in the subsistence supply chain of DLA Troop Support. With a keen understanding of the growing importance of audit readiness, he began developing a training plan for his team to include recruiting for additional qualified personnel. His focus on audit readiness led to the development of Troop Support's first organic supply chain audit readiness dashboard. His efforts were so successful, they soon became the standard across all the supply chains and were briefed at the recurring monthly supply chain performance reviews. Mr. Koshal Desai. The Level 4 Experienced Leaders, Managers, and Supervisors Leader of the Year recipient is Mr. Buzz Hackett, DLA Logistics Operations. Mr. Hackett distinguished himself by exceptionally selfless service as the Defense Logistics Agency Europe and Africa Civilian Deputy Commander, leading the organization through a particularly tumultuous time marked by numerous contingencies and high visibility exercises, all with strategic implications. He provided much-needed continuity, experience, and oversight to the regional command and an enterprise of over 800 personnel spanning 13 different organizations geographically dispersed over Europe and Africa. Mr. Buzz Hackett. This concludes the presentations of the DLA Leader of the Year Awards. Our next category is the annual DLA Employee of the Quarter Recognition Award. This award was established to provide agency-wide recognition to 3 civilian employees from the quarterly DLA competition whose exemplary performance, humanitarian service, or teamwork merited further recognition. The DLA Employee of the Quarter annual recipient for Category A, Civilian Grades 1 through 6, is Ms. Rowena Gadden, DLA Distribution. Ms. Gadden's sustained superior performance and meticulous attention to detail as a warehousing division materials handler deserves recognition. She made herself an invaluable member of not just the warehousing division, but of the depot as well. During the depot's recent workload surge, Ms. Gadden volunteered to work overtime on numerous occasions, ensuring continued exceptional support to customers. Ms. Rowena Gadden. The DLA Employee of the Quarter annual recipient for Category B, Civilian Grades 7 through 12, is Ms. Chung Yu, DLA Energy. DLA Energy Commander, Brigadier General Martin Chapin will accept on her behalf. Ms. Un's performance and accomplishments have exemplified the best the DLA civilian workforce has to offer. As a result of her idea to add an awaiting disposition tracker to end-of-month inventory briefings, tracking disposition of all products became simpler and more streamlined. Ms. Chung Yu. The DLA Employee of the Quarter annual recipient for Category C, Civilian Grades 13 through 15, is Ms. Taya Dammer, DLA Human Resources. Ms. Dammer successfully led DLA to complete the administration of the 2016 DLA Culture Survey. A combination of communications and collaboration contributed to a 68% 2016 survey response rate. The successful administration of the 2016 DLA Culture Survey and her collaboration with the DLA leadership, DLA Culture Champions, DLA Workforce, and Denison Consulting throughout the process is a credit to her hard work and dedication. Ms. Taya Dammer. We will now present the DLA Team Performance Awards. Team Performance Awards recognize teams within DLA that have improved organizational performance by using structured improvement methods or have advanced the principles of teamwork. A total of 13 nominations were divided by small, medium, and large teams with 1 award recipient in each category. In the category of small teams, consisting of 25 members or less, the award goes to the Europe and Africa Customer Operations Team from DLA Troop Support. The members of the DLA Troop Support Europe and Africa Customer Operations Team continuously seek and enact solutions resulting in direct and measurable savings to the U.S. government. The team typically exceeds organizational expectations through teamwork, and members collectively improve the level of performance, benefiting both the organization and warfighters. team members demonstrate the highest levels of excellence and professionalism in life cycle logistics support. The Europe and Africa Customer Operations Team. In the category of medium team, consisting of 26 to 50 members, the winner is the Sustainment, Restoration, and Modernization Division from DLA Energy. This team distinguished itself by exceptionally meritorious service and achievement from June 1st, 2015 to May 31st, 2016. Through multiple CPI events, the SRM team was able to implement changes that resulted in a significant decrease in project approval times, a decrease in service order processing times, and improved tank inspection repair velocity. The team was developed more than 2,000 projects worth over $1 billion, while also making tremendous improvements in the area of audit readiness. The Sustainment, Restoration, and Modernization Division. In the category of large team, consisting of 51 to 125 members, the award goes to the Navy Nuclear Reactor Program team from DLA Land and Maritime. The NRP team has developed a reputation of commitment, mission focus, and unparalleled customer support. This team achieved material availability above 95% for the past 106 months, surpassing all of their organizational goals. By using modern techniques and personal ingenuity, they've been able to provide unequaled customer support. The Navy Nuclear Reactor Program team. This concludes the Team Performance Awards. We will now honor our military workforce for the superb contributions they make to the agency. The Service Member of the Year Awards recognize the Field Grade Officer, Company Grade Officer, Senior Non-Commissioned Officer, and Junior Non-Commissioned Officer whose performance distinguished them from their peers through their contributions to the DLA mission. The Field Grade Officer of the Year is Army Major Alex Shimabukuro, DLA Aviation. Major Shimabukuro is committed to process improvement and reducing inefficiencies at DLA Aviation and has led 2 equal employment opportunity and diversity programs. Off-duty, he supports the McGuire Veterans Affairs Medical Center and its Wounded Warrior program. Most notably, he coordinated an off-site visit for senior leaders to meet key staff and wounded warriors at the Poly Trauma Rehabilitation Center, which has led to enriching agency relationships. Major Alex Shimabukuro, United States Army. The Company Grade Officer of the Year is Navy Lieutenant Anthony Meyer, DLA Troop Support. Lieutenant Meyer has been an exceptional asset as the Source Selection Evaluation Board Chairperson for the Subsistence Prime Vendor, Iraq, Kuwait, Jordan solicitation, and the OCONUS Peshmerga Support Team. He possesses an unbeatable combination of subject matter expertise, dedication, and commitment to ensure the very best support to our country, the community, and our warfighters. Lieutenant Anthony Meyer, United States Navy. The Senior Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year is Army Master Sergeant Cynthia Jennings, DLA Troop Support. In her numerous roles at DLA Troop Support as the Joint Senior Enlisted Leader, Principal Logistical Staff NCO, and Clothing and Textiles Directorate Customer Account Specialist, Master Sergeant Jennings has proven herself a dynamic leader in action. She's often the face of DLA to our customers and proficiently solves challenges on the ground before they become real problems. She's dedicated and driven to ensure warfighters have the support needed to conduct operations. Master Sergeant Cynthia Jennings, United States Army. The Junior Non-Commissioned Officer of the Year is Air Force Technical Sergeant Carla Pelayo, DLA Aviation. DLA Aviation Commander Brigadier General Alan Day is accepting on her behalf. Tech Sergeant Pelayo quickly mastered the intricacies of DLA systems and has excelled in improving customer support across the supply chain in her role as material planner. Her initiative and expertise have been recognized across the organization, and she was recently selected to forward deploy in support of DLA. Technical Sergeant Carla Pelayo, United States Air Force. We'll now recognize personnel in the DLA Joint Reserve Force. Navy Rear Admiral Deborah Haven, Director of the DLA Joint Reserve Force, will participate in the presentation of these awards. The DLA Joint Reserve Force Senior Officer of the Year is Air Force Reserve Lieutenant Colonel Erica Foster, DLA Logistics Operations. Lieutenant Colonel Foster served as the Joint Logistics Operations Officer for the Joint DLA Logistics Operations Current Operations Branch. She provided more than $150 million of humanitarian assistance to more than 4 million Syrian refugees and displaced Iraqis spread out across 4 countries. She was key in providing mission analysis to leaders, which helped shape DLA's response to this crisis. Lieutenant Colonel Erica Foster, U.S. Air Force Reserve. The DLA Joint Reserve Force Junior Officer of the Year is Navy Reserve Lieutenant Brian Petrandria. Lieutenant Petrandria served as the Executive Officer for DLA Distribution Susquehanna. His promotion and recruitment efforts in Anniston, Alabama led to 7 sailors providing more than 6,700 man-hours of support. They decreased DLA operating costs by over $145,000. He executed all monthly unit functions, including musters, evaluations, order writing, awards, and metrics reporting. Lieutenant Brian Petrandria, United States Navy Reserve. The DLA Joint Reserve Force Senior Enlisted Member of the Year is Air Force Reserve Master Sergeant Matthew Smith, DLA Land and Maritime. Master Sergeant Smith serves as a supply specialist in maritime operations. He researches potential counterfeit supplies and ensures the accuracy of critical traceability documents, which enable vendors to release shipments and DLA customers to use the supplies with confidence. Master Sergeant Matthew Smith, United States Air Force Reserve. The DLA Joint Reserve Force Junior Enlisted Member of the Year is Navy Reserve Logistics Specialist First Class Louis Sebastian Jr., DLA Distribution. Petty Officer Sebastian served as the Unit Training Leading Petty Officer for DLA Distribution San Joaquin. His efforts contributed to the unit's 100% completion in various training categories. He also served as the Warehouse Leading Petty Officer for the RIMPAC 2016 exercise. He led 26 sailors that verified and manifested more than 35,000 line items. Logistics Specialist First Class Louis Sebastian Jr., U.S. Navy Reserve. Next up are the Equal Employment Opportunity Awards. These awards recognize the activity and individuals who, through their personal commitment and dedication, meet and exceed challenges of making our workforce a place where people can work, learn, and grow. Mr. Leo Lecomte, Director of the DLA Equal Employment Opportunity Office, will participate in presenting these awards. The DLA Outstanding Employee with a Disability is Mr. Frank Moses, Jr. from DLA Human Resources. Mr. Moses is a staff support analyst in the DLA Human Resources Business Office. He provided critical support to the DLA Human Resources workforce by ensuring all actions in the task management tracker were immediately assigned to the correct activity, that all responses were administratively correct, and that all tasks were completed on time. He also ensures all DLA Human Resources employees on Fort Belvoir have a safe, secure, and effective workspace. He's also completed the Yellow Belt Lean Six Sigma certification. Mr. Frank Moses, Jr. The award for achievement in EEO by an employee goes to Ms. Barbara Eberly, DLA Distribution. Ms. Eberly excelled as an employee and program administrator. She's highly respected for her hard work, dedication, and support. She understands her first priority is serving warfighters and fosters a positive work environment to support this goal. DLA Distribution is honored to possess such an outstanding employee. Ms. Barbara Eberly. The award for achievement in EEO by a supervisor or manager goes to Ms. Caroline Watson, DLA Land and Maritime. Ms. Watson is a champion of diversity and inclusion initiatives, an advocate for various EEO special emphasis programs in underrepresented groups, and an extraordinary leader and branch chief in the Strategic Acquisition Programs Directorate. By analyzing the land and maritime workforce to identify and eradicate barriers of employment for minorities, women, and individuals with physical disabilities, she's been instrumental in creating a more cohesive and successful environment for all. Ms. Caroline Watson. The DLA Award for Achievement in EEO by an organization, PLFA category, is awarded to DLA Land and Maritime. The organization's EEO director, Mr. Charles Palmer, and Chief of Diversity and Affirmative Employment, Paul Gambrell, are accepting. The Land and Maritime Commander's 5-point diversity plan is directly linked to the director's EEO and diversity focus areas. Hispanic participation has increased by 0.1% this fiscal year, with an overall increase of 7% since the 5-point plan inception. Women in senior leadership positions is at a participation rate of 28%. DLA Land and Maritime. Our next award is the Family and Morale, Welfare, and Recreation Facility Program Excellence Award. This award was established to provide higher-level recognition of agency employees, programs, and facilities. Ms. Denise Miller, Director of DLA Installation Support, will participate in presenting this award. This year, we have a tie for the Family and MWR Facility Program Excellence Award. The first awardee is the San Joaquin Child Development Center, DLA Installation Support at San Joaquin. Center Director Dolores Williams will accept. Through creative programming and progressive community outreach, the CDC grew from 3 classrooms at low capacity to 5 full classrooms with a waiting list. During this amazing growth period, the staff pulled together, working overtime to ensure all the children were properly cared for. The San Joaquin Child Development Center. The second awardee for Family and MWR Facility Program Excellence Award is the Susquehanna Club, Defense Distribution Center, Susquehanna. Susquehanna Family and MWR Director Jim Marshall and NAF Support Manager Kevin Tribillis are accepting. The club received this award for providing quality catering, food, and beverage business operations. Led by business manager Sharon Ewell, the Susquehanna Club had its best performing year in the club's history, generating more than $155,000 in revenue. The Susquehanna Club. The next awards recognize the DLA police officers and police units that have demonstrated the utmost teamwork, honesty, respect, integrity, loyalty, and dedication to duty. Ms. Miller will also participate in presenting these awards. The DLA Police Officer of the Year is Sergeant Zaria Griffin, DLA Installation Support at San Joaquin. DLA Installation Support Security Emergency Services has faced challenges with a reduction in staffing and funding, and Sergeant Griffin rose to the occasion. He's made significant contributions during installation-level special events. He's helped improve the department's patrol operations by creating a number of user-friendly job aids, and his professional photography and talent enhances the installation's efforts in capturing significant special events. Sergeant Zaria Griffin. The DLA Lead Police Officer of the Year is Sergeant Michael Grogan, DLA Installation Support at San Joaquin. Sergeant Grogan is always the first to respond to calls for service, displaying exceptional leadership and sound judgment and demeanor while resolving incidents safely and effectively. On April 19, 2016, Sergeant Grogan was the on-scene commander for a potential vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. He directed the operations of police officers assigned to the Commercial Vehicle Access Point and served as liaison with the Pennsylvania State Police's Hazardous Devices Unit and the FBI. Sergeant Michael Grogan. The Supervisory Police Officer of the Year is Captain Christie Hart, DLA Installation Support at San Joaquin. Captain Hart readily accepted the challenging position of administrative captain when the incumbent was selected for special assignment. One of her primary duties was to monitor and track the department's overtime. Her attention to detail was instrumental in helping the department stay under their overtime budget cap. She helped the department cut overtime costs by 85%. The savings equated to approximately $300,000. Lieutenant Christie Hart. Captain Christie Hart. The DLA Police Unit of the Year belongs to DLA Installation Support at Susquehanna. Chief Douglas Schrader is accepting today. During the past year, the DLA police at Susquehanna completed more than 2,000 random anti-terrorism measures, 9,000 license and registration checks, and 600 traffic stops, trained 181 new DLA employees in active shooter awareness, and found time to train with local community partners. During the 2016 National Night Out event, over 200 installation residents and employees attended activities focused on community relations and safety awareness. DLA Police at Susquehanna. Our next set of awards recognizes the commitment and professionalism of DLA firefighters and fire departments. Ms. Miller will also participate in presenting these awards. The DLA Fire Officer of the Year is Assistant Chief of Prevention and Training, Neil Watkins, from DLA Installation Support, San Joaquin. Assistant Chief Watkins served as the fire representative for the upcoming Voluntary Protection Program audit, devoting over 200 hours facilitating inspections and meetings of key individuals aimed at improving site process. While off-duty, Assistant Chief Watkins was one of the first individuals to arrive on a 5-vehicle accident. He rallied bystanders to assist with patients and scene safety on the highway until emergency crews arrived. Assistant Chief Neil Watkins. Assistant Chief Watkins is going to remain on the stage to accept the next 2 awards on behalf of their recipients. The DLA Firefighter of the Year is Firefighter Inspector Adam Groom of DLA Installation Support at San Joaquin. Firefighter Inspector Groom dedicated more than 100 hours creating evacuation diagrams, tracking tools, and inputting response and inspection data. He updated 73 evacuation diagrams, incorporating OSHA and National Fire Protection Association requirements. The DLA Fire Service Instructor of the Year is Training Chief Burl Danley. DLA Installation Support at San Joaquin. Training Chief Danley was instrumental in creating the County Training Officers Working Group and drafted an innovative policy for county standardized rapid intervention crews. He coordinated a comprehensive joint active shooter exercise with county police and fire at a local bleach manufacturing facility. Training Chief Burl Danley. The DLA Fire Prevention Program of the Year is DLA Installation Support at Columbus. Fire Inspector Anthony Hulin and Dan Erickson are accepting on behalf of the team. The Defense Supply Center Columbus Fire and Emergency Services Fire Prevention Section provided a comprehensive review of 30 projects valued at $28 million to ensure critical life safety compliance. The fire prevention staff conducted over 600 life safety and occupancy inspections, 49 emergency evacuation drills, and issued 153 welding permits, ensuring the highest level of fire safety. Defense Supply Center Columbus Fire and Emergency Services Fire Prevention Section. The DLA Fire Department of the Year is DLA Installation Support at Richmond. Fire Chief Rogers, Don Rogers is accepting on behalf of the department, with Assistant Chief Anthony Fuller and Captain Rick Farrell. Defense Supply Center Richmond's Fire and Emergency Services led the way in emergency response performance, achieving a new 6-minute response time benchmark for 90% of all emergency calls. The department responded to numerous hazardous material incidents, most notably a mutual aid response to the DuPont chemical plant 4 miles from the installation for a major chemical spill, providing decontamination resources for entry crews and reducing adverse impacts to the environment. Defense Supply Center Richmond Fire and Emergency Services. The next set of awards recognizes acquisition professionals who have demonstrated the highest degree of proficiency, integrity, and dedication in executing the critical mission of providing acquisition support for our nation's warfighters. Mr. Matthew Beebe, Director of DLA Acquisition and Component Acquisition Executive, will participate in presenting these awards. The award for excellence in pre-award contracting goes to the Subsistence National Contracts team at DLA Troop Support. This team implemented an innovative strategy that streamlines the purchase of items such as chicken, beef, turkey, pork, and seafood for military customers in overseas locations, cutting costs by 25%. Across all protein categories, annual savings to the taxpayer are estimated at $42 million. The Subsistence National Contracts team. The award for excellence in contract administration goes to the Maritime Post-Award team at DLA Land and Maritime. This team created 5 centralized email boxes for all incoming post-award request work from both internal and external customers. Their efforts addressed a systemic gap in the capability to accurately track, quantify, or prioritize the volume of requests that post-award associates were receiving. Since its inception, the post-award team has created 41,000 new post-award requests and closed more than 37,000. The Maritime Post-Award Team. The award for excellence in pricing goes to Mr. Wah Ta, DLA Land and Maritime. Mr. Ta has provided superior performance in supporting warfighters in DLA Land and Maritime through his expert pricing and acquisition skills as a contract price cost analyst and as a mentor and trainer to other personnel throughout the organization. His pricing expertise and mentoring of the pricing aspects for these programs, as well as other initiatives, have provided significant efficiency improvements and saved taxpayer and military customer funds. Mr. Wah Ta. The award for excellence in procurement analysis goes to Mr. John Dotchin, DLA Land and Maritime. Mr. Dotchin's accomplishments touch all the tenets of the DLA strategic plan. The automated one-time buy program he oversees was responsible for issuing 251,000 awards, nearly 50,000 of which were fully automated. As a member of the Land and Maritime Time to Award Working Group, he identified the most optimal day of the week for the monthly demand month-end purchase requests released, ensured auto solicitations for these purchase requests would not close on the weekend, and reduced the fast auto evaluation period for micro purchase solicitations to 1 day after the closing date. Mr. John Dotchin. The award for excellence in acquisition management goes to Ms. Cynthia Obermeyer, DLA Energy. Ms. Obermeyer manages the DLA Energy Savings Performance Contract Program. Reducing energy demand at fixed installations is a key pillar of the DoD Energy Program and has become a focus for the current presidential administration. Ms. Obermeyer has demonstrated an unmatched commitment to customer service and initiative. Her leadership, teamwork, and ability to effectively manage the program has expanded DLA Energy's footprint and support to customers. Ms. Cynthia Obermeyer. Excellence in Time to Award is presented to the Maritime Supplier Operations, Powered Valves, and Maritime Hardware Team at DLA Land and Maritime. The team faced many challenges associated with items having low volume, high dollar amounts, long lead times, limited vendor-based, casting issues, or haven't been procured for several years, requiring higher level price justifications. This has made meeting the time to award goals a challenge. Their success can be attributed to their rule of 3 R's: refocusing the team, reinforcing accountability, and re-energizing focus and commitment. The Maritime Supplier Operations, Powered Valves, and Maritime Hardware Team. The following awards recognize the superior performance of acquisition professionals in support of DLA's small business programs. Mr. Beebe will also participate in presenting these awards, along with Ms. Amy Seda, DLA's Director of Small Business Programs. The Outstanding Small Business Professional of the Year is presented to Ms. Kathy Hampton, a procurement analyst at DLA Distribution. Ms. Hampton is the first employee to occupy her position on a full-time basis. She is involved across the spectrum of acquisition procedures and policies, to include assisting on all acquisitions over $10,000, to identify and utilize small business programs, developing small business guidance to improve local small business program contributions, and participating in market research efforts to ensure maximum opportunities for small businesses. Ms. Kathy Hampton. Outstanding Acquisition Professional Supporting Small Business is presented to Randall Dortch, Strategic Sourcing Supervisor at DLA Aviation. Mr. Dortch has been instrumental in aviation strategic sourcing plan. He empowers his team with a mantra to optimize small business opportunities, whether it be in prime or subcontracting. The best reflection of Mr. Dortch's commitment lies in the outcome of the solicitations and contracts that have resulted in opportunities for small businesses. He shows how the efforts of one person can make a difference in achieving small business program goals. Mr. Randall Dortch. Our next set of awards and last set of awards recognize information technology professionals who have demonstrated the highest degree of proficiency, integrity, and dedication in providing information technology support to our nation's warfighters. Mr. Robert Foster, Deputy Director of DLA Information Operations, will participate in the presentation of these awards. The Information Technology Person of the Year is Mr. Joshua Daigle, IT Specialist, DLA Information Operations. Mr. Daigle is a member of the J64 Technology Foundation Services Windows Cloud Services team. He's proven invaluable to his organization for his willingness to take on any task or assigned, especially those of particular challenge. Examples of his accomplishments include the migration of the Windows 2003 servers and successful completion of the DLA Today and Director's Blog projects. Mr. Joshua Daigle. The Information Technology Program Manager of the Year is Mr. James Daniels, Supervisory Program Manager in DLA Information Operations. Mr. Daniels displayed outstanding leadership and program management skills as the program manager for the Collaboration Pathfinder Office 365 effort. He stood up the DLA team responsible for implementing and worked across DLA, DISA, and the U.S. Air Force to keep the joint program on schedule. Mr. James Daniels. Thank you, General Bush. That concludes the presentation of today's awards. In addition to the award recipients recognized here today, several enterprise-wide awards have been given to DLA employees over the past year. On the last page of your program, you'll find these additional enterprise-wide award recipients. This annual awards ceremony is a great opportunity to celebrate the accomplishments of our DLA family. These outstanding men and women exemplify the standard of excellence set by this agency, and we appreciate all they do each and every day. I'd like to ask all the award recipients to stand up at this time, please. On behalf of General Bush, thank you for your participation in our DLA 49th Annual Employee Recognition Ceremony. You're invited to join the awardees at a reception in the Headquarters Cafe right behind you, where you'll have the opportunity to thank the award recipients for their contributions and accomplishments. Now, please rise for the departure of General Bush, followed by the award recipients, their family and friends, and senior leaders. Please remain in place until your row is released. Thank you.